Well, hi everyone. I hope you enjoyed your break. I hope you guys got to relax and enjoy your families. And we're back and we're ready to get back to work here. So the first lesson that we get back with is solving square root equations. Now I need you to write down these steps. Step 1 is isolate the radical on one side of the equation. So you kind of solve for the radical. Step 2, raise each side of the equation to the power equal to the index of the radical and eliminate the radical. And then you solve the resulting equation, and it is important that you check your answers. You can go through everything, you'll get a couple of answers sometimes, and one of them may work and one may be extraneous, so it is important to check your answers. It's just not busy work. Alright, so example 1 here. If I isolate the radical, here's the radical right here. Okay, I want to get rid of this minus 1, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides of the equation. And then I got 6 equals the square root of x minus 2. Now, the index is 2, so this is a square root. So I'm going to square this side of the equation, and I'll square this side of the equation. I have 36 here. And the square root and square cancel out each other, so what's left under the radical is what you write, and that's x minus 2. Then we add 2, and we get 38 equals x. So I've solved the equation. Now I want to see if it works or not. So let's look. Does 5 equal the square, I'll put a question mark over this, the square root of 38 minus 2 minus 1. And that is that 38 minus 2 is 36, and then subtract 1. I don't know why I put 6 there. I need this minus 1, not minus 6. And then I have 5. Square root of 36 is 6. 5 is equal to 6 minus 1, so I think we're good. We have x equals 38 for that solution. Now example 2 is a little bit different because there are 2 square roots. So if you have them on each side, what I'd have you do is square both sides, and then the square and square root cancel out on both sides. So 2t minus 7 equals t plus 2. So we undo a square root by squaring. That's the biggest thing we have to remember in this. I'm going to get the variables on one side. So I'm going to subtract t from both sides, and I have t minus 7 equals, that cancels out, 2. So I'll add 7. Add 7, I got t is equal to 9. I'm going to check. And the square root of 2 times 9 minus 7, is that going to equal the square root of 9 plus 2? 2 times 9 is 18. 18 minus 7 is 11. So I got the square root of 11. 9 plus 2 is 11. Alright, we're good. T does equal 9. Is the one solution there. Alright, example 3. Now notice on this one that the 5 is not under the radical. It's 5 plus radical x. This whole part of the expression is under the radical. Square root of x plus 15 equals 5 plus radical x. Alright, so we've got a radical by itself. So let's try to get rid of at least that radical. And we're going to square both sides. Now, square root and square are canceling out. So I have x plus 15 there. I'm going to write this out in FOIL. I think it might be a little easier to see if we do that. 5 plus radical x, the whole thing is being squared. So I'm going to put 5 plus radical x times 5 plus radical x. And first is 25. Outside is 5 radical x. Inside is also 5 radical x. And then last is the square root of x times the square root of x. I'm wondering if you can go along with me on that and say that that is x. it's the square root of x squared. The square and the square root would cancel out and just leave you with x. So I've got 25 plus 10 radical x. That's when I add these two like terms together, plus x. This is not a like term with that because of the radical. So let's write that down here. 25 plus 10 radical x plus x. Now, if you go back and look at your rules at the beginning, we still have a radical involved here. We still need to isolate the radical. We got rid of one radical, but we still have another radical. So I need to isolate this. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Let's see what we have. That cancels, and I got 15 equals 25 plus 10 radical x. And then I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. Get rid of this 25. Remember, I'm trying to isolate that. That's negative 10 here equals 10 times square root of x. I'll divide by 10, and I have negative 1 equals square root of x. All right, time to square. I got 1 here, so x equals 1. Well, let's just check and see if that's the case. So the square root, remember the squares weren't part of that at the beginning. Square root of 1 plus 15 equals 5 plus the don't forget the plus, 5 plus the square root of 1, and that's the square root of 16 equals 5 plus square root of 1 is 1, square root of 16 is 4, and that does not equal 5 plus 1. That equals 6. This is not equal. Okay, this x equals 1 is called an extraneous solution. In our work, we ended up squaring a negative, which threw it off. So we didn't do anything wrong in our steps. It just does not work in the equation. So that's why we check. I'm glad we got to see one to see why we check. Now, example 4. This is the last example I have for you. Let's subtract 5 from both sides. We are isolating this. And when I do that, I got the square root of 4y minus 5. That all is under the square root. And 12 minus 5 here is 7. Now I've isolated it, so it's time to raise to the second power on both sides. And the square root and square cancel out. And we just have the 4y minus 5 left. And we got 49 here. Let's add 5. And say 4y equals 54. Divide by 4 here, and I got y equals, I think if we do the math there, that's 13.5. Alright, time to check. Does 5 plus square root of 4 times 13.5 minus 5 equal 12? Alright, now 4 times 13.5, I believe, is 54. Yeah, 52 and 2 make 54. Doing the work in my head there. And 5 plus 54 minus 5 is 49. Does that equal 12? Well, we're looking at 5 plus 7 equaling 12, and it does. So that is a solution. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't anticipate being able to see you for you to show me these notes in person. So I do want to see, when you take a picture, I want to see you take a picture of the notes. And I also want to see these problems from your book done. On page 433, numbers 23, 24, and 27 through 32. Alright guys, take real good care of yourselves, and know that I'm thinking and praying for you.